Content over everything.
You've got to help him now.
Reject the authenticated hadith.
By who?
By Bukhari. By the
By
standards of
Bukhari.
Bukhari.
I agree. The science of
wrong with these
hadiths
guys,
is a
man?
joke, and the idea of hadiths
No,
is a joke.
the Sunni science.
Yeah.
The Sunni science.
But my point to you,
Bruv,
if you
reject the
remember the
hadith and done,
conversation,
bruv.
Mohammed,
Oh my
if
days.
you remember the conversation, Mohammed, yes, I was talking about why the Christian practices are superior
This is
to
where Bob
Sharia
gets his
law,
confidence.
and I said it was about
How
verbal
can you argue
consent.
And I went on to
6-year-old?
say that we have to also give the...
So
And then you
6-year-old
use the nakka, yeah, right, but you've just given a reference that says that a 6-year-old child entered into a legal contract. Are you honestly stood here telling me that a 6-year-old child is of such mental capacity that they can enter into a legal contract? Are you
Just say
really
with
arguing
Ken,
that?
just say with Ken and Barbie.
She was.
Yes.
With Ken and Barbie and leave it there.
I would ask
Ken and
all
Barbie
of
got
you
married.
to use
That's-
your reason. I would ask all of you to use your reason. The Sunni Muslim, not the
Thank you
Shia, to
very
be
much.
fair to him.
Just me.
One second. The Sunni Muslim is stood here and honestly trying to argue to us all that a 6-year-old child is of such mental capacity that they can enter into a legal contract.
Not A.
I ask you to use
She.
your
I'm
reason,
using
and if
her
your
specific.
reason is
then now
leading
you have to
you
explain
out of
why it's
Islam,
different with her.
follow the evidence.
How are you going to explain
None
what's
of
different
you
with her?
Because
Are
of
any
the...
of you here saying that 6-year-old children can enter into legal contracts? Come on,
There must be a dating site for kindergarten girls then.
tell me. Tell me, brother.
This is why earlier I asked you about the reasoning. If you knew the reasoning behind the marriage to Aisha, why
You're gonna make it
Aisha
worse.
was specifically selected.
Brother, you're making it worse.
I am. Listen, I'm not here to just tell people what
To
they
be
want
fair
hear.
to Mohammed,
What about yourself?
Hold on, stop haranguing him. I want to be fair to Mohammed. At least he's willing to stand by his book, which is better than Shamsi, and it's better than Ali Dawah, and it's better than Hashim. He stood here and he's actually defended the insanity of the hadiths, which is credit to his courage, if not to his intellect.
Do you know how mocking that is?
So go
I'll
on.
take it as a compliment.
You take.
It's given as a compliment. I admire your conviction.
Hey, what? Edit me out, yeah? Edit me.
Like I said, I'm not here to tell people what they want
Brother,
to hear.
I'm saying, what about your own brain? Do you
I've studied.
Are
the
you not
hadith
supposed to
of-
use your
Bruv,
reason?
have you met a 6-year-old before?
Right. Does your
Have you met any
reason?
6-year-old?
Like I said, we're not.
Does your reason tell you a 6-year-old can enter a legal
Have you
contract?
met a 6-year-old before in your life?
Not today. Like I said, when we're discussing this, we're not discussing this about a 6-year-old. We're talking about
The amazing Aisha.
the Aisha.
The
So
amazing
what's unique
Aisha.
about her? That's what he's going to ask you, then what?
This is why I was going to respond.
Was she touched by the divine?
You know, let me just hear this bit here.
Like
what?
I said,
No, I'm not Christian, bruv, at all.
All right, all right.
But I use my logic.
I'll let you make your point.
yeah, I asked you if you understood if you knew the reason why Aisha was selected to marry the Prophet. Do you know the reason behind it?
For me, it's irrelevant, but I suppose you want to tell me.
No, I was also going to ask. But yeah,
Okay, it's irrelevant.
Because she was, even though she was 6 years old,
Yeah.
she was at an age where she could, she was very educated, she was very sensible. So these were qualities known to her. Okay.
No, listen.
So everyone knew her to be a very mature.
So a 6-year-old child,
Because he said
according
the
to you,
scholars say
her was mature
Bukhari
enough,
authenticated.
mentally educated enough to enter into a legal contract.
Yes, she was. Okay,
Dude,
listen,
I do not.
I'm not telling you you have to accept.
I'm
You know?
glad you're not trying to tell me that I have to.
Because you don't have to accept
But
anything.
now, one second. Reason with me.
I am
Reason with me.
reasoning, but
So reason
I'm not telling you. Listen,
Can you identify?
Let me finish, please.
Can you identify another 6-year-old?
No.
Right? Another 6-year-old in the whole of history, across any civilization, that we have a historical document showing that they had the mental capacity to enter into a legal contract.
No one comes to mind.
Not
But
one.
even, listen, no one comes to mind. It may be, it may not be.
What
Listen,
evidence do
listen,
you have that she was mentally able?
Because of the reports about her intellect.
Give
She
me
has
no.
reported 2,210 hadiths.
Okay.
Right? And
Yeah, that's
she
it.
is the
She
person.
memorized it.
She is the person. And say, for example, I'll give you one example.
No,
She
I
was
was-
the wife.
I was going to get to that.
When,
question that I'm asking.
When Prophet done the Hajj
The question
last
that I'm
time,
asking.
Yeah.
The question that I am asking is a simple one. All right? We can do better than Sharia law. We can do better than Sharia law.
That's going to be a
We can do better than Sharia law.
That's going to be a flop.
We can
I
do better
guarantee
than
you.
Sharia law.
That's going to be a
Right?
flop. I
There
guarantee
is
you.
no 6-year-old child
there is
ever
no better law
that
than
is
the Sharia law.
compass mentis enough to enter into a legal contract.
Now,
It's common sense.
as you
Everybody
have-
knows that
Bob,
to be true. So,
Bob,
to evidence your case, to
Stop
evidence
talking
your
like a
case,
radio.
don't force yourself
Let him
into this
talk.
conversation.
Yeah? No, you are not
To
allowed
evidence
to
your
talk.
case,
He's
to
trying
evidence your
explain
case,
you're not allowed to talk.
Mohammed, I want you to produce hadiths to me that show that at 6 years old she demonstrated sufficient
We
intellect
are not
to
in doubt.
enter
Why
into legal
are you in doubt
contracts.
with that one? Do you
I'm
have
not
any
in
doubt?
doubt. This is not
Then
about
why
me.
should we?
This is not-
We don't
no,
care.
no.
We don't have any problem
No.
with that
The whole
one.
point of
If you have
dawah-
a problem,
the whole point of
you
dawah
go,
is so someone
you
else
go
comes to
online,
evidence
you
if we
find
can,
out.
should
We don't have to. Do you have
Why
any
don't you
problem
want
with the
to?
6 year? We don't have to.
He's better than you, dude, at Dawah, I'll tell you
Okay,
that.
I will tell you.
At
I will
least
tell
he
you.
tries.
Let me interrupt for 2 minutes.
I will let
Sorry.
him go in because he has asked for a while.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. You
Okay.
can carry on after this. You can carry on. In Islam, I'll give you. In Islam, if you want to the law on the basis of Islam in the
If you're
marriage,
interrupting in my
in the marriage.
conversation with him, I want you to answer my question.
Yeah. Go on. Yeah.
So my
I am
question is
answering.
this.
Yeah.
My question is this. Because I am stood here.
I'm trying to answer
Can I
his
answer?
question.
Can I ask the question? Because I am stood here saying to everybody
Yeah.
that we can do better than Sharia law,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that the Christian faith provides better values than Islam, and that
will
liberal
respond.
secular
You can
law
say anything.
is
You
superior
can
to
say-
Sharia
you
law.
can lie as much as you like. We don't have any problem.
You are here arguing.
Yeah.
You are here arguing
Yeah.
that I should accept Islam
Yeah.
because Sharia law is better than liberal Western law.
Right? Okay.
So, I have.
I didn't say that one. That's your saying.
I
by
am
the way.
using
I didn't say-
Aisha.
That's not my
I am
argument.
using Aisha as an example of the inferiority of Sharia law.
Okay. Thank
So
you very
what I
much.
want you to
And I
answer
thought
me
you did
this.
well, but he's good as well.
He has demonstrated evidence that shows that it was assumed that Aisha was mentally able to enter into a legal contract at 6. What I want you now to do is to provide me evidence that demonstrates her intellect, showing she was capable of entering into a legal contract at 6 years old.
Wonderful question. Thank you very much, Bob, for that question. Yeah, and I don't want you to interrupt me when I'm talking.
Go on,
I
Johan.
didn't interrupt
Go on,
you.
Johan.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and we Muslims, so let's say Sunni Muslim, we don't have any problem for a 6 year. You know, for when Aisha got married at the age of 9, and when she was engaged at the age of 6, we don't have any problem with that one.
no,
By
she
the
was
way,
married at 6.
she
Consummated at
married at the age of 6. She went to the house of
Had sex
the
at
prophet. She went to
Let's
the
try not
house
to
of
use
the
those
prophet
words.
at the age of
Because
9.
she had a legal
At the
contract
age
at
of
6
9,
and had
and
sex
she
at
was
9.
engaged.
That's
And
the
you know,
argument.
the same hadith which you have been
that's the
discussing.
story. That's not the
she
argument.
was playing in the
hadith.
yeah, as you know, the same hadith that you have been discussing. She was playing in front of the house when Prophet asked, you know, that hadith.
Yeah, she was playing in front of the house with
Exactly.
dolls. Yeah, we know that.
We believe that's a Sahih hadith, and we don't have any problem with that one. We don't have any doubt in that hadith, and we 100% truly believe in that one. If you have any doubt in that one, you go and check in that one. We don't have any problem. Yeah.
Okay, you
Yeah.
haven't
No.
answered the question.
Bob.
Dude.
I didn't. Listen. Bob. I didn't interrupt you. You can't interrupt me.
Well, okay,
No.
but answer my question.
No. And
You just said you don't need to provide me evidence. That's your answer.
Listen. Relax.
Let me restate the question.
Relax.
Let's refocus.
Relax.
The question was.
No. Listen.
question
You asked me
was-
a question.
What's
Let
the
me
question?
answer.
What's the question?
Listen. Let me answer.
What's the
Relax.
question?
Relax. I don't want you to talk. You know, keep asking what's the question. Blah blah blah. I don't want it.
Answer the question then.
I give you a chance to ask me question. Let me answer that one.
Okay, I'll give you a few
I
more
will give you a
moments.
question. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a few more moments.
Right. Please. Now he asked me he wondered why he should accept the Sharia law.
You might
For
want to hold
me-
your umbrella a bit high.
Yeah, you might
Sorry,
you're gonna hit.
do you want to hold it for me?
Sorry.
Can
Yes, go on,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you. Because
should.
keep getting complaints about the umbrella. Now, I don't agree. I truly don't believe there is a law book called Sharia law. I truly don't believe in Islam. There isn't. Yeah. So his question for me is irrelevant. It's gone to the bin already.
What was the
right?
question again?
What was the question?
Wait.
why you should accept Sharia law.
No, that was not my question.
That's what you asked me.
That was not my question.
You should, okay.
Was that my question?
No. Okay,
Even Mohammed is saying it's not my question.
let me tell you.
Even Mohammed is saying that was not my question.
You said there's a Christian law and Sharia law. So why you should accept?
I'm not going to stand here and listen to a monologue.
Okay.
The question that I asked you. The question that I asked you.
Then I'll carry on.
No, you had your chance. It's Mohammed's turn.
No,
You had
I'm
your
going to
chance.
take my chance.
It's
It's
Mohammed's
apart.
turn. No,
I'm gonna take my
you're
chance.
forcing yourself.
Yeah.
Me and
I don't
Mohammed.
mind.
Me and Mohammed.
I'll keep forcing myself.
Me and Mohammed have had
Bob, I don't care.
conversation.
I don't care who you
Good,
are.
what, 40
I'm
minutes?
going to answer this question.
You're trying
When
to
I
force
finish,
your way
I will
into
let
this
you carry on.
conversation.
Yeah.
I waited
Bob.
patiently.
Yeah.
You didn't answer my question. I am saying to you,
Because your question is
if you
irrelevant
are
to
a
me.
Muslim
Your
and you
question
can
is
hear my
irrelevant
voice,
to my.
I am saying to you that the Christian way is a better way than Sharia. I am
You
saying
can lie.
to you,
Bob,
you
you
need to
can lie
leave
as much as
Islam.
you can. You
And
can
I am
lie
saying
another,
to you
you can put another
that the
lie.
reason
you can
why
lie
you
after
can
that.
leave
I don't
Islam
care, mate. I don't
to
care.
a better
you can keep
system
lying. But
is
let's-
because
let's focus on the point.
Sunnah of
you
Muhammad,
were talking about
the hadiths,
you
are
were
trying
talking
to
about,
say
Bob, you
that
were
a
talking about that
6-year-old
marriage in
Guys,
Islam.
calm down,
Yeah.
calm down. You're speaking over
had
each
a
other.
legal
You're speaking over each
contract
other. It's not
at
good.
6
It's not good.
and was able to enter into a legal contract at 6 years old.
Out of manners,
I
you should-
ask you to use your reason. Do you know or can you imagine that a 6-year-old girl is ever able to enter into a legal contract knowing what they are entering into? Now, my question to you, because you were
I'm going to
saying
answer that. If you
that
can answer
Aisha is a unique case. You're saying that she is unique in the entirety of human history,
We believe.
across
We
every
Sunni Muslim
civilization,
believe,
over 10,000 years of documented archaeological study of civilization. You're saying Aisha was a unique child. That at 6 years old, she was compass mentis enough to enter into a legal contract. So I am asking you a fair question.
You are.
Demonstrate to me using evidence that demonstrates her intellectual capacity to enter into a legal contract. Because
No, because I want to answer.
because there are hadiths that clearly state that Aisha was playing with toys.
That does not demonstrate.
You would
Finish, sorry.
you would not argue from the evidence available that a child playing with toys at 6 is able to enter into a legal marriage consciously, knowing what she's entering into. So demonstrate the contrary. I'm asking Mohammed.
I'm answering
You had your
myself.
chance.
I'm answering myself.
I'm asking Mohammed.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm answering in front
No.
of the camera.
Shall we step
Okay.
away?
Okay.
Shall we step away?
I'm coming there. I'm gonna come there.
He's triggered like a feminist at an abortion clinic being protested by Catholics. Stop forcing your way. Okay, I am Mohammed. I'm going to step away from him because I want to hear your answer. So please, if you would, come with me. I want to hear your argument.
Okay, no problem. I'm going to answer in front of the camera. Yeah.
The cameras, if they want to, can move away.
Okay. I will come in front of the camera anyway. No problem. No problem.
Demonstrating Aisha's intellect.
Alright, before I bring on the hadith, because I don't want to.
She have.
Dude. Sorry.
Brother,
Why you
please.
don't want?
Why?
Out of respect.
You had your chance. You had your chance.
Football.
I want to hear Mohammed. Go on.
Sorry.
He's triggered like a feminist who spotted a bunch of Catholics protesting at an abortion clinic.
He's not the lawyer here.
The guy is
Let him
triggered
speak.
like a feminist.
Let him speak.
Control
Let him
yourself,
speak.
social justice warrior, please.
Okay.
I don't need soy boys here. I need real
I'm
answers.
just having fun,
Go on.
mate.
It's not a test.
Okay, I'm going to try and block out everyone. Yeah.
I'm just having fun.
I'll try and find the sources for you.
Okay.
But like I said,
I'm here with you. I'm waiting for
just
you.
because she's
I'm
a
waiting for
unique
you
case
myself.
in Islamic history doesn't mean she's a unique case in the whole of human history. It might have been, it might have not been. Others, okay? But I think what you're doing is conflating Sharia law with a unique case. Because as I stated towards the beginning of the conversation, is that nowhere in Sharia law does it stipulate that we can that we should follow the example of the Prophet ﷺ when he married Aisha. Nowhere. It doesn't exist.
It doesn't say that in lots of other things either.
Things like...
No, we should check out the Sharia.
All right, so that's the Sharia law.
Apart from the we should check everything.
So that's one side, okay? Now, if we're discussing Aisha, I said it was a revelation to marry her due to who she was at the time of marriage and who she will become, okay? As you know, we call her the mother of the believers. Yeah? Aisha, she's called the mother of the believers.
Yes, from 6 years, they did a lot of the.
So, and she was so important, as he said, she memorized 2,210 hadith.
At what age?
She learned the Quran in 3 months.
What age?
Just after.
Come on, let
Well,
him
throughout his life, throughout the next 9 years, she memorized 2,210 hadith. That's more than anyone else has memorized.
Mohammed, if I mean, I'll let you finish your
Okay,
point,
go on,
but you're making an assertion here.
Oh no, this is not an assertion.
One
this is
second.
actually-
Hold on one
Okay,
second.
go on.
You're making a historical assertion that doesn't validate your case. You are saying that a disputed point of history, that Aisha memorized all the hadiths. Shia Muslims don't agree with you. Shia Muslims do not agree with you that she memorized all those hadiths. This point that you're making is in dispute, and it is a point that was made centuries later. Centuries later. Right, so who at the age, when Aisha was 6, who was going around saying that Aisha's memorizing hadith?
Well, that's because after he died, that's the period of time when he was saying things. So you can't actually say, hold on. How can you say to someone, what do you call it, before they've died, before they've mentioned 2000?
When Muhammad died,
yeah,
so when Muhammad died,
she's already...
Who was going around saying Aisha memorized 2,000 hadith? Who said it when Muhammad died?
Not specifically that number. Yes, you're right. Today, wait, hold on. Today, yes, we know she memorized that much. Okay?
No.
Hold on.
I'm asking who said that? Who was the first person to say that?
I don't know who the first person was.
Shall I tell you? I don't know their name. No, I overstepped my mouth. I get it back now. No. I was going to walk into error.
That's fine.
I was going to speak in ignorance.
That's
Thank
fine.
you.
Listen to me.
So,
I don't know the
no,
name.
I don't know,
I don't
but I'm
know
going to have to research.
At least you don't
But
know.
Same here, I'll do
my
the same
point
research,
to you is, my point to you is that I am quietly confident that this claim that Aisha memorized all these hadiths, came much later. Much later. And my challenge to you is, find the first person that made that claim.
I will go away and do that.
And then get me my
Like
dates.
you, I don't know.
Right. But if you now do a thought experiment with me. Do a thought experiment.
Can I finish my point?
Yes,
that
of
I
course.
was
Sorry, yes,
earlier?
absolutely.
Sorry, because I've got quite poor memory. I forget things like that.
Yeah.
Damn.
You were talking about Aisha's intellect,
Yes.
and you were going to demonstrate her intellect, and so far,
Yeah.
you haven't provided any source.
Like I said I will if I can find.
Okay.
Well, I said after the death of the Prophet, we know that she's memorized at least, if not 2,210 until later. We know that she's memorized a fair amount because it was the companions who, when they went into a dispute, they went to her for guidance because she lived with him, because she was able to give that guidance, because she was able to tell them verbatim what he said. So that was the importance of Aisha.
May I reply? You're arguing from a time when Aisha was 18 years old. When Muhammad died...
But I told you the reasoning.
Hold on one second. I asked you for evidence of Aisha's intellect
I will.
at 6.
Okay.
You have simply pointed out that when she was 18, people went to talk to her.
No, because I'm telling you about
That
the reason.
doesn't demonstrate her intellect at 6 years old.
Because I told you the reasoning was not just about who she was at the time, but who she will become. She will become a great scholar. She was a great scholar. The greatest
What
scholar.
is worse is that there's no age of consent.
Because all this trying to find a reason and trying to
Mohammed,
find a reason.
Let me try and find the source so that we can
you find your
move
source.
on.
But the point that I'm
Can
making
you try and find the source?
is that the claim of the Islamic community
state of
that
mind.
Sharia law is the
She was,
superior system is self-evidently false
Okay, he's doing
from their own sources.
He will
From
try and
their
find
own,
that for me.
fine. From your own sources, you're arguing, and we quoted it. It's on camera. That at 6 years old, Aisha entered into a legal contract.
Legal contract, yes.
And yet we cannot find any supporting evidence that would demonstrate sufficient intellect to justify that marriage.
She wasn't even.
No.
Why is he
Right,
saying
one
that?
second.
No. Actually, Abu Bakr
Why
offered.
keep saying that, bro?
One second.
Yes.
One second.
Talk to the father.
Her father offered, did you say?
No, talk to the father.
If her father, if
I'll tell you why. Because
if a
what happened
man's
is
father says to a 6-year-old, I want you to do this.
that's just part of it.
Does a 6-year-old have the will and temperament to turn to their father and say, no, father, I don't want to?
Muhammad saw in a dream. He asked the father. The father said, you know,
He's saying-
we are brothers. Why are you going to marry my daughter? He said, we are brothers in the religion, but she is lawful.
Why did he take
Yes.
it? Why did he
No,
take
that's
it?
right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
So where's the choice?
She still had to give consent. And like I said, that is it's not something that's a one-off. This happens till today in by Islamic law. By Sharia law, the nikah has to...
This guy's
Wait,
gold. You're so honest.
He's honest.
It's a refreshing change. It really is. You're a refreshing
Ali
change.
took Darwa's question, right? At 6 years old, right? The reason he never married her, right? That her hair fell out and she was ill. That's what.
No. That's not right. That's not right. It's not because she was ill.
Let me ask you this question.
You take it.
Let me ask you this question.
If I offer you poison, would you take it?
Do you want to
No, you
see?
wouldn't.
Do you
If I
think
offer
that
someone
children
6 years,
today
you're gonna tell me, no, it's
are
all right.
able
I don't want
to
it.
consent
You
legally?
don't take it, you're going to tell
No.
me, yeah, I'll
Right.
offer you.
So
Come
what
on.
makes you
No,
think
no,
Aisha could then?
I can't buy that shit.
Like I said, there was a custom. We've got many writings, documented writings, whether it's by scholars, whether it's, I think.
And when were they written?
If they can find the hadith.
When were they written?
You have to remember the mode of transmission. Yeah, we never write down. We have historians like Tabari who just.
When was he writing?
Several centuries, I know. Okay, listen. But
Tell me.
listen.
One second.
Let me finish at least.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry, you're right. I am interrupting. Go on.
We have many sources like Tabari that do collect either authentic or unauthentic sources, and there were storytellers and stuff. But we also know the names of people who we can rely on, and we take their we transmit from them, from reliable sources. So that's why a lot of Muslims will ask when we get asked about Tabari and stuff.
If I said, do a thought experiment with
Come on,
you,
let's go.
right?
Yeah.
Let's imagine that the Gospels were not written by 90 AD, and they were written in the 7th century about Jesus. All right? And I said to you, you should believe them. Would you? What would be your reply? Would you believe my sources?
I would test it.
Based on what principle?
Historical accuracy, who was writing it, how much
Historical
information.
accuracy. How would you check historical accuracy?
Let me think on that because it's caught me off guard. You would have to.
Can I? What the point I'm making to you
Yeah, sorry.
is that the whole Sunni argument about hadiths, right? If you just think, you can see how it makes no sense, right?
Well, in terms of the chain of transmission.
Yes.
How
Because
does it not make sense to you?
right, do you honestly think that people in the 7th century, right, were thinking to themselves, consciously going around thinking to themselves, I need to remember this because in about 250 years' time, someone's going to have to write these down and compile
I'll
them.
tell you why I believe yes. I know you would think that this is an insane thing to say, yeah. But
You've said a lot of insane things today, but you've done it with style.
cheers. Because if we take an example, Omar ibn Khattab,
Yeah.
okay, after the death and when he conquered Palestine, he went to when Jerusalem surrendered, and he came to pray. They invited him to pray in the church. What did he say to them? He said, "I will not pray in this church because several centuries later, Muslims will pray in this very spot and take the church from you." Yeah. So he decided to pray outside the church. Until today,
Incidentally,
today,
it never stopped them taking over churches.
No. The
It never
church-
stopped them
the
taking
church-
over churches.
The square, the Omar ibn Khattab square, that's where he prayed. Right in front of it, down the next street, is where the church still remains. Why? Because he decided to pray outside rather than inside. So that's the foresight.
I wish they'd applied that logic to Hagia Sophia.
Yeah. But that's the foresight of the Khulafa al-Rashidin and the companions, the immediate companions. With
Hold on.
So
The historical evidence. Hold on. The historical evidence shows that this is a special case, right? Now you've shown that Umar
Ibn Khattab.
Okay, I can't even. I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce that. So you're saying that you've got this example, right?
Yeah, to show the foresight.
This account that you're talking about.
Yes.
When was it written?
Of that specific incident of him taking.
Yep. When was it written?
Soon after, I'm not sure, about 20, 30 years, I think.
20, 30 years later?
I think. I'm not sure. I'm not going to, you know what, I'm not going to give a timeline.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
It's an interesting question to research because my whole argument that I make to you is that the hadith literature was and we know that Muslims don't agree about the hadith literature. Yeah? Right? They
until today we have scholars that debate which are authentic and unauthentic.
I haven't had a chance to. I'm still talking to Mohammed. Okay, so give back the brother's umbrella. It's his umbrella.
It's his umbrella.
That doesn't matter.
It's his umbrella.
You ran off my question, man.
Yeah, I know
Ask
you
my
are.
simple question. You ran away, bro. Come on, man.
So my point to you is, right, that the hadith literature is in dispute amongst Muslims. There's no agreement amongst Muslims which hadith are trustworthy or untrustworthy.
No, there are agreements for many thousands of hadith.
And there are disagreements about many thousands of hadiths.
Yes.
So
that's
right.
So, but
So
that's why when we come to you and quote the evidence, we quote the hadith that have been authenticated and that the consensus of scholars have said, yes, this is true. We don't go and quote da'if or fabricated hadith.
Right, so all my arguments, whenever I try to make an argument, I use Sahih hadith. But the point
thing is, do you know that it's authentic by scholarly consensus when you quote it to me?
Yeah, was the ones that I quoted to you not scholarly consensus?
No, they're not. I'm just asking you, do you know? Have you actually gone in and looked at whether this has been...
Not in every case, no. Okay. Not in every case. However, the point that I'm making...
I'm not trying to use that against you.
No, it's fine. I don't mind if you did. The point that I'm making to you is that your hadith literature is written centuries later, right? And then
can also be traced back.
And they say they can trace it back. But as the Shia Muslim who was just stood here haranguing you like 20 minutes ago was pointing out,
just to leave it.
But
that's a poor argument.
He was pointing. He was saying that he's accusing the Sunnis of simply making up hadiths and sticking Aisha's name on the top.
Yes, and we've already debunked that.
Well, no, you say that, but the fact is, there's lots of Muslims that think that that's true. Millions of them.
Yeah, well,
and they've
believed
that even since the hadith literature started. The hadith literature was produced late, hundreds of years late.
200.
The science of hadiths and the justifications and the romanticizations of it came later still. So what you've got is bid'ah on bid'ah in a supposedly perfect religion.
It's not bid'ah
to innovate.
Oh, that's a good
Is it not bid'ah to innovate?
In what sense? To change the religion? To change the religion?
To change the religion.
Yes. But to innovate in other ways...
Hold on one second. At the time of Muhammad, what was the authoritative text of the Quran? Sorry, of Islam. At the time of Muhammad, what was the authoritative text of the Islamic community?
The Quran.
Quran.
Yes.
Were there written hadiths at the time of Muhammad?
No, because of the Prophet, what he said, never write down my sayings so that people will never take it as the Quran.
Yeah.
So that was the precaution.
Yes.
Okay. But he never ever said that you cannot write it down later.
He said never, didn't he?
No.
What
he
did
said do not write this.
Do not
write my hadith with the Quran. So long as the revelation of the Quran came, they must not write it.
Okay.
He never made the limitation.
So is it a change of a religion to introduce a new text as an authoritative text?
No,
it's not a change.
It's not a change because it's not introducing. Remember that this is not. How do I put this?
Would you agree that many of those texts were spurious and made up?
Yes, a lot of.
So would that fall into the category of making things up, bid'ah?
Yes, and that's
okay.
Sorry.
Come take over everything from your man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to.
You're putting it aside.
No, we are.
No. The fact is, all we have is that centuries later, Muslims say we accept these hadiths, but we don't accept these hadiths, and these are our reasons. There is no way to know which ones are
Well, so there
rooted.
are categories, I mean, the criteria for Bukhari and Muslim about how they document the hadith, to know which ones are authenticated. And as also all Muslims know, even the Bukhari and Muslim, it's not 100%